Hi Greg, hi Blaine, hi Kyle.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey guys.
You've seen the doodle?
I just wasn't going to answer since I don't think it really matters for me whether I'm there or not.
So the big problem is that Adam from Israel and the folks from Blaine and Travis from the USA, there is only 1 hour per day where the time actually works. So
Does Adam need to be part of this planning meeting?
so he is basically Bruno from Red Hat. So
Hello, can you
as
hear
far as
me?
I know,
But
he did some
if we're
research.
delaying a meeting that needs to be happen like by like a month, like that's not really a good that's not a good thing, and I don't think that's worth like not having
Um,
the meeting. We can have another meeting.
so Travis wanted to have Adam part of that meeting.
I mean I still think we should be having the meeting right now, and then we can still have a follow-up meeting.
Hmm.
Like we need to talk about this, otherwise we will not have a CI that is like has any kind of efficacy for Octopus, and we
Um,
can't just keep putting it off.
what about preparing
Thanks for joining us.
an other
Sorry.
pad or a presentation so that we can uh, get to some conclusions as fast as possible? Would that be an idea?
I think that sounds reasonable.
In a combined effort, basically, not just within
Right.
SUSE or
Yeah.
within Red Hat, but as a combined effort. Like for example, sharing our investigation results and try to see what Adam came up with before the meeting. Greg, you're involved in that topic too?
Not really. No. I was talking about it last year because no one else was, and it was a thing that needed to get done, but no real progress happened. So I don't think I'm going to have much help here.
Uh, yeah,
Uh,
I remember that you and Travis were talking about that last year about the tautology investigation you did.
yeah. I mean, I can refresh myself and talk about it, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, then let's create. Okay, hands up for Google Docs versus hands up for a Microsoft Office document versus hands up for a Etherpad.
And maybe GitHub
Online, I don't
is
care.
good as well.
GitHub doesn't really has any access restrictions, and
It has.
might
It has. Only one can edit at once, and
yeah
you can see the history, and you can resolve conflicts. So it's pretty convenient. I don't believe you guys are editing things too extensively. So it really doesn't matter which tool to use just to provide access to anyone interested. So GitHub also allows you to review changes and
yeah
having discussion about adding specification or something else. Other tools do
yeah
not provide such convenient functionality.
every tool basically does this in one way or another, except Etherpad. So how it is pronounced, Etherpad or Etherpad?
Etherpad. Ether.
Okay.
I believe in German it's Ether. Ether.
Yeah, it's Etherpad. Yeah, in German. Anyway, I will prepare something and share it in the group if no one else raises his hand. Blaine?
I don't have much of a preference. Probably not uh, an Office document, but Etherpad or Google Drive seems pretty appropriate.
Okay, I will do something.
So Nathan was asking if we can shift this meeting because he has overlaps this day and this particular time. I don't know. He was sending an email to Greg. Greg, have you received it? I don't know if you followed. Is it possible to move it to some another time box?
We can put this whenever we want. Yes, I would be happy to just hand this off to someone else. Like I don't think I'm going to be doing a bunch of really anything that this meeting's focused on anymore for a while. So like I started that email thread on the mailing list and it didn't go very far, so I left it. But if people have a better time, we should just do that. But yeah, I don't know. I might have gotten an email from Nathan, but there wasn't any like suggested time or anything. I don't. So we'll need to like whenever someone says, "Hey, this time we'll have these people," then just shift them. Everyone can get on with life. That's fine with me.
I don't know if it's feasible to use Doodle for voting for new time, and is it possible to make such kind of votes there?
Probably. I've never actually set one up.
So Doodle, yeah, you can basically as I did. So yeah.
I don't know if you, Sebastian, can create such kind of doodle. So
Yeah. So just give me a list of dates and I will do it for you. Or a list of time slots.
yeah, of times. I don't know.
So we have the so we have basically between an hour before and in half an hour basically as a time slot for meeting. So, and I just can do a doodle for every possible time slot in per week, and then let's see what comes out of it.
Sure. And it may just be that you want to end up with whatever you guys do for the Rook stuff and use that as a launch pad. But yeah, for sure.
It should not overlap with the orchestrator weekly call or the CRT weekly call, but the rest would be fine for me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, will do.
Do you have any other topics, or are we just getting set up for Rook CI?
Yeah, just maybe someone can make it clear for me why we need another tool just to use Rook instead of embed or develop a new class for tautology in order to deploy Rook. Anyway, we will need a new API for Rook stuff. We just can run it on top of tautology infrastructure.
You mean running Rook within tautology?
Yeah. I mean, not replacing the current tautology API, but adding in a new tests with a new API for Rook, which will allow everything we need, just to make it possible to run it the same way tautology is running everything and managing use cases via YAML files like tautology does right now. It's just another one framework which can be used from tautology, like any file system tests, etc. The similar way we do for downstream for DeepC. We basically do not use tests, file system test. We just Nathan implemented a task called DeepC, and it do this thing of deploying the tautology cluster, SUSE-based tautology cluster. So we can do the same for Rook-based with different, dialects like Red Hat, or I mean, I don't know how is it this tool called in Red Hat for Kubernetes management, etc. So we still can reuse lab infrastructure and reuse machines that currently available, and do not decommission it from the tautology usage. And yes, and at the same time, it can be implemented in of course in Python, but and probably we can use it separately from tautology. If someone wants to manual, but I don't see any advantages of running it locally, since any reasonable cluster for Ceph requires more nodes and more memory than regular development laptop has. What you think about it?
Greg?
I mean, I still think that's a good idea. I just, for a variety of reasons, I didn't get very far doing it myself, so it hasn't happened.
Yeah, of course, we probably need to to make some volunteering votes who will work on it. I can participate in this effort as soon as, I'm just close to finish the deployment test for Tautology, and as soon as we have it, we can make any serious changes to it. But anyway, this work will not break anything in Tautology since it's a separate library, and it's just like another one task, you know.
So basically, Tautology would just provision the nodes and then leave the rest to another framework? What would Tautology then do exactly?
Driver. Where's my sound?
And yes, presumably it like either has a Kubernetes cluster that it connects to, or else it turns on a Kubernetes cluster and then it like says, "Hey Rook, like make it happen." Like we have Ceph Ansible tasks and it invokes Ceph Ansible, but then Ceph Ansible does all the provisioning, right? It's just it like
So it would be something different than your Ceph.py. We can hear you.
I guess I'm not actually set up as a moderator here.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, the driver crash. I haven't
It's very
heard
loud.
anything. Or what?
So it looks like you're using the wrong microphone, but we can hear you if you're speaking loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now better?
Yes.
Okay.
So what would Tautology then do in your proposal? Would it just call another framework to set up a Kubernetes cluster and just simply provision the nodes?
So Tautology is using right now. It's managing infrastructure in Ceph. It's Ceph Lab Sepia. It can log machines, bare metal machines, and provision them. And the same thing is for OpenStack. It logs resources in OpenStack and everything you just described in YAML specification. And then internally the task get the layout of the machines available where it can deploy Rook actually, or Kubernetes cluster, and then on top of this it can run other steps which will run all the tests, but with specific Rook context in opposite to Tautology remotes context. So it's just extra infrastructural layer, and it will be just using this library. And correspondingly, you need to provide some configuration in those YAML files, but it will still allow you manage the test cases the same way Ceph test cases are managed via YAML files.
What about the Ceph.py in the Ceph tree? Would it make use of it?
Sorry, I don't get you. Would Ceph.ui or what?
PY. It's a what is it? Is it, Greg? The Ceph.py what you were investigating?
Oh yeah, that's the thing that sets up Ceph for tautology right now. Like it replaces it performs the role that Ceph Ansible or Rook or DeepC would play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will not be able to use it.
Like the interface to the other test functions as well. So yeah, like we would factor that apart so we have the interface part that everything implements, and then the deployment stuff is all delegated.
So the thing that I think it's main difference between Rook CI, hypothetical CI, and tautology is that its Rook test should be container agnostic. It means that several containers can be. I mean, as I understand correctly, it should be using the each container per role, right? And it shouldn't be bound to the number of resources. I mean, real host machines. But anyway, you always have to keep in mind that some capacity should be used for deploying some cluster. So, and it's always related. The performance is always related to amount of nodes in upper layer or down layer cluster. Is it Kubernetes or bare bold machines?
And so what we discovered is that tautology cannot really manage a Ceph cluster.
What do you mean manage?
Starting, stopping, anything.
It's all is done by not by tautology. It's done by tasks, in fact.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with tautology. It's just some other stuff. But anyway, if we are changing the existing test cases, if they are starting anything, they are manipulating with the remotes, like SSH remotes to particular nodes. And for Rook, it will be changed probably, just because it has another interfaces. And anyway, we will need to write a test for those interfaces.
So the only thing that in this context tautology would do would be to create a Kubernetes cluster and then wouldn't do anything else.
Basically, it will be doing Kubernetes cluster and run some tests on top of this new API using new task.
Okay.
So, and what is good for this? You do not need to modify tautology code much, and until you finish this API, you can develop this API separately on your local environment. Just keeping in mind that you already have set up Kubernetes cluster, and what we need to do is just to add for tautology a module which will set up Kubernetes cluster for it on the all roles. For example, the roles array can contain only one role, like Rook instead of monitors, etc. Can only just book required number of nodes, and then the Rook task can deploy Rook there, like we do for DeepC, of course. Like it's similar. So I believe it will be changed. I don't know how nuances how Red Hat is deploying the cluster. You guys are using Ansible, right? For preparing machines and deploying the RPMs, right?
Rick,
But
you with us?
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to step aside for a moment there. What was the question?
yeah, we were talking about how Red Hat is deploying the cluster, how it's installing RPM, and I was just wanted to confirm from your side that it's done by Ansible. And
You mean in Toothology or like?
yeah, in a tutorial.
Oh, no, in Toothology, well, there is a Step Ansible set of suites that do that, but I think it's mostly just run off of Step.py, and I think for that one, then the images. No, that can't be right. Yeah, no, it's just Step.py does it. Yeah. I think it's set up to work on SUSE too, although that might just be some compatibility code.
We do not use Ceph-CM Ansible Step or Ceph-CM, I don't know. We just use a Sol cluster, which is set up within the deepc task, and it's just creates a Sol cluster and then run deepc. And the deepc task is using, we basically deliver RPMs using the system package management, like Zipper for us, and it's similar to Yum. Yeah. And the install task, we use install task, which is just adding repos, corresponding repos to all machines. So deepc is doing anything else, just installing dependencies and doing all orchestration.
Yeah. So most of the tests we have are just the upstream ones that run with Ceph.py. Like all the Rados suite stuff does that for sure. And yes, the install task, but they're sort of paired.
Yeah, of course it's different from the process which is done by testing dev-ci Git, like using artifacts from Shaman, right?
For the downstream QE stuff, I mean, there's extra stuff that happens that QE wrote, but a lot of it's still just the same. Like Red Hat has a little clone of the lab that they use for downstream, and I know it runs some custom stuff which I haven't looked at in a while, but a lot of it is very much the same as the upstream bits.
Okay, I think I have to run, to step out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, glad we were able to schedule that stuff going forward. So, see you guys later. Have a good week, all.
Yep, see you.